she slept with a madman and got pregnant. They say Lagos never sleeps. It's haunts, it's market, it's endless chase for wealth. But sometimes, in the noise of the living, a story rises that silences even the streets. That was how it began. A tale mothers whispered with trembling lips and fathers swore could never happen under their roof. But it happened, and her name was Becca Badmus. Becca was no ordinary girl. She was beauty and brilliance woven into one. The only daughter of Mr. Badmus, a wealthy man who had lost his wife too soon. Becca was 10 when her mother died, and from then, her father wrapped her in wealth like a shield. At 25, she returned home from abroad after her convocation. Her beauty was breathtaking, her smile like morning sun. Her father's heart swelled with pride the day she stepped into their mansion again. But joy soon gave way to worry. Becca was no longer a child. She was not getting younger, yet no man had won her heart. Her father pressed her to marry. Becca laughed it off, saying love was not her concern. She had studied all her life, kept her focus sharp, and men had never been part of her journey. Still, her father's fear grew. He secretly arranged a meeting between Becca and the son of his rich friend. Becca arrived, only to discover she had been set up. "You can't just do that without my approval, Dad," she shouted in fury, storming into her room when they returned home. The next day, she would not speak to him. She dressed in denim shorts and a crop top, her hair woven in 2 braids, and called the driver. She buried herself in her laptop until the man's voice broke her concentration. "Madam, we don't reach supermarket, oh." Becca raised her head. At the car window, a madman stood, tall, lean, wild hair tangled, eyes burning with strange intensity, clothes torn, barefooted on the hot asphalt. "Fumilowo, give me money," he demanded, his voice fierce, yet there was a childlike ring in it. Becca froze. For a moment she was shocked. Then something unexplainable pulled her in. Against all reason, she smiled, reached into her bag, and gave him cash. The driver tried to chase him away, but she stopped him. She watched how the madman skipped off happily, bought bread, and sat in a corner devouring it with laughter that echoed like broken drums. That night, Becca could not sleep. The sound of his laughter haunted her. The way his eyes had pierced into hers unsettled her. And before dawn, she did something no one in her father's mansion could imagine. She slipped out of the house in the dead of night. One night became many. Every evening while the city slept, Becca vanished into shadows. By morning, she returned, sometimes at 3 a.m., sometimes at 4 a.m. Her father thought she was resting, but she was giving herself to the forbidden pull that had tied her heart to the madman. Weeks passed. Then her body began to betray her secrets. Nausea, dizziness. The blood of her monthly flow did not come. Her father grew worried and called the family doctor. The test results shattered the room. "Congratulations, Miss Becca. You are pregnant." The words fell like thunder. "Pregnant!" Becca and her father cried out in unison. Mr. Badmus's mind raced. How? His daughter had no suitor, no boyfriend, no husband. He turned to her, searching her face for answers, but she turned away. Days went by. The doctor's words hung in the air like chains. At last, her father could not bear it anymore. He sat beside her bed, his agbada rustling softly, his face stern but heavy with pain. "Becca, who is responsible?" Becca's eyes brimmed with tears. She turned away, refusing to speak. "Tell me," he demanded, his voice breaking. Her lips trembled. "You don't know him, Dad. Please, just leave me alone. I must know him. Whoever he is, he cannot remain hidden." She wiped her tears, then turned slowly to face him. Her voice was low, but each word carried fire. "You want to know, Father? Fine. It's a madman." He blinked. "What?" Her voice rose, a scream tearing through her chest. "I slept with a madman and I am pregnant for him." The room shook with silence. Mr. Badmore stumbled back, his hands trembling, his eyes wide with disbelief. "A madman?" He gasped as though lightning had struck him. Becca wept bitterly, clutching her belly as if guarding the child within. Her father stood frozen, his world crumbling before him. No one knew what the child would be, a curse that would bring shame to their lineage or a strange blessing wrapped in madness. But one thing was certain, this was only the beginning. What do you think will happen next? Comment your thoughts below.
Part 2. This is how the story continued. After that night, her father did not speak to her. He went to work in the morning and came back late at night, avoiding her like she was a ghost in his own house. Becca could feel the silence growing heavier by the day. She tried to speak to him once, but his face was hard like stone. Days later, the news began to spread throughout the estate. The story of the rich man's daughter who slept with a madman filled the air like smoke. Market women whispered about it while selling their goods. Some said Mr. Badmus used the madman for ritual and that God punished him through his daughter. Others cursed, calling it an abomination. The once respected man became the subject of gossip and mockery. The next morning, Mr. Badmus sat in his office, but he couldn't focus. The whispers of his workers pierced through his ears. Some pretended to be on a call, but he could hear them laughing. He felt his chest tighten. His name, his reputation, everything he had built was collapsing because of his only daughter. He went home that evening in anger. He called the driver and the gateman to his office within the compound. "So it was you two spreading my shame around the estate," he shouted. Both men knelt, trembling. They tried to deny it, but the truth had already come out. Mr. Badmus fired them that night without mercy. When he turned to Becca, tears filled his eyes. He said, "You have destroyed me. You've ruined my name, my reputation. And for what? For a madman?" Becca knelt, crying. "Daddy, I didn't know what came over me. I swear I didn't plan it. It's like something took control of me." But her father didn't want to hear. "Enough," he shouted. "From tonight, I have no daughter. Leave my house." That night, with her eyes swollen from crying, Becca packed her luggage into a small bag. The mansion that once felt warm now felt cold and empty. She dragged her box out of the gate, tears streaming down her face as the night breeze brushed her hair. She took a cab straight to her friend's house, Vicky, who lived in a small neighborhood in Lagos. When Vicky opened the door and saw Becca standing there at that hour, her mouth fell open. She had only seen Becca once after her return from abroad, looking beautiful and proud. But now she looked broken. "Becca, what happened?" Vicky asked, pulling her inside. Becca dropped her bag and sat on the old sofa, her hands trembling. "Vicky, I don't know how to start," she whispered. Her voice cracked as she explained everything, how she met the madman, how she couldn't control herself, how she got pregnant, and how her father disowned her. "It's like I was under a spell," she said, her face buried in her palms. Vicky sighed deeply. She was poor, struggling to survive, but she couldn't throw her friend out that night. "You can stay here for now," she said. Her voice sounded kind, but her eyes were different. Behind those pitying eyes was jealousy and silent hatred. Days passed. Becca tried to adjust to the new environment. She no longer wore expensive clothes or used her foreign perfumes. The sound of neighbors quarreling and the smell of kerosene stoves replaced the air-conditioned silence of her father's mansion. One night, while they were eating garri together, Becca said softly, "Vicky, I want to abort the baby." The spoon fell from Vicky's hand. Her expression changed completely. "Abort? Ashung? Vicky, do you know that that's a big risk? You could die." Becca's eyes were red. "Then let me die. I can't live with this shame. I can't." Vicky watched her friend and pretended to feel pity, but inside a dark smile curled in her heart. "Fine," she said quietly, "but you must promise me something. Don't tell anyone I helped you." A week later, she took Becca to a small church around her neighborhood. The church was old and quiet, with a flickering bulb and worn-out benches. The pastor, a thin man with tired eyes, looked at Becca for a long time. He placed his hand on her head and said in a heavy voice, "My daughter, do not attempt this. If you try to abort this child, you will die before the moon completes its cycle." Becca broke into tears. She knelt before him, crying like a child. "But Pastor, what will I do? People are mocking me. My father has rejected me. I can't even look at myself." The pastor sighed deeply. Sometimes, the path of shame becomes the road to destiny. Keep this child. Do not fight what you don't understand. That night, Becca couldn't sleep. Her mind was full of confusion. She turned to Vicky and whispered, "Maybe this is my punishment." But Vicky didn't answer. She just turned her back and muttered something Becca couldn't hear. And that was how the story deepened. Pain, shame, and mystery surrounding Becca's life as she carried the child of madness within her.